Let's talk about inactive relationships in Power BI. I want to tell you a little bit about what they are, how to actually use them, and why we have them. In a previous video, I talked about relationships in Power BI and why they're really crucial to make your report work. Now I want to talk about these inactive relationships. In Power BI, you can't have more than one active relationship between two tables. So if you want to have another relationship between the two tables, that will be an inactive one. And you can actually see that within your model, there will be this dashed line. So that means that relationship is inactive. But this relationship doesn't work by itself. We need to activate it in Power BI, and we can use DAX to do so. And I will show you later on how to do it. But first, I want to provide you with the use case. Why does this happen? I see this a lot in sales reports where we have sales and we have like an order date, a shipment date, maybe even a manufacturer date for the product. So there are all kinds of dates, but you can have only one active relationship. So most of the times I see a relationship between the date in the date table and actually the order date in the fact table. But then in the report, people actually also want to see, for example, how many orders did we had on the shipment date, these kind of things. But because the active relationship is on the order date, you can't just see that. What we can do, and what I would recommend, is use DAX, where we have this function and it's called use relationship. And there we can tell Power BI, okay, we want to create a measure that shows us, for example, how many sales we had on the shipment date, or how many orders, or anything related to that date that has an inactive relationship. And we want Power BI to use that inactive relationship. And that's all possible with use relationship. And I'm telling you this because what I see a lot with my clients and when I provide Power BI training is that people use, instead of an inactive relationship and then the use relationship DAX function, different tables. So I've seen clients that had 4 or 5 date tables and also in their reports had 4 or 5 date filters based on what they wanted to filter. It makes it much more complicated than it should be, and who wants to use so many filters? So inactive relationships, they don't happen by accident. When you create your data model and you drag and drop columns from different tables on each other, when there's already an active relationship, you will get an error, like this error in the picture I'm showing you. So this already tells you you can't make that relationship active. But we can still make the relationship, but just don't activate it and save it. Now we have this inactive relationship. We also see it in our model. How do we activate it? Now we can create a DAX, and I show you an example of the DAX. It says I want the sales of the shipment date. So I do a calculate the sales amount, and then I use the use relationship function where I tell Power BI use the date from the date table and the shipment date and use that relationship they have, that inactive relationship. And then Power BI will actually do the calculate for our sales amount based on the shipment date and not on the order date. Because normally if we would use the sales amount, it would be based on the order date because that's our active relationship. So by using use relationship, we can activate all these inactive relationships, and we don't need all these duplicated tables. We can just work with inactive relationships. So, and that's it. So it's super easy. This keeps your model clean because you don't need all these additional tables. It keeps your report clean because you don't need all these different filters, and it makes it flexible and easy to maintain. Because just imagine that you are that coworker that needs to take care of a Power BI report and data model built by someone that did not know about inactive relationships, and you open it and you see 5 different date tables. That's not fun. I hope this helps. I hope this example was easy to follow. Let me know, and if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments.